Okay, so I had a request from the community tab about reading into Social Security and basically the stipend that the disabled are expected to live on, and how will that ever change? Will it, become what it should be? And also, for the elderly. This has always been something that I've been keenly wanting to see change. Um, the way that our country doesn't value the disabled or its elderly is very clear in its less than livable month to month offering towards its disabled community and elderly. I think, truthfully, it should be something that people can live on. And we all know Social Security is not something that people can live on. It is not, and people are afraid to say that because they don't want to lose the little bit that they're getting. But it needs to change. The whole question asked begs this society to change. And it's not just this America, it's the world. The world needs to care and not view the disabled or people that have an illness as something to be eradicated, or as people that are off in the, that I don't really want to have to look with or deal with, or, if they would only just do this so that their comfort level is satiated and they don't have to think about people that have a difference, a very huge difference in the way that they live. I mean, for me, everywhere I go, there is always an issue because physically it has not been really taken immediately in mind for people that have mobility issues. Now, you can scream ADA at me all day long, but I can tell you that many places that are quote unquote up to ADA code, or so they think, aren't. And often it's not implemented correctly. Like bathrooms, for example. I mean, we could go on and on about this, but I'm telling you, the mentality is going to have to change. And we need to become heard. So we have to become more active in advocating and seeking allies to help us change this part of our society. So I did look at the cards, and what I get is the world. It is not just America, in my opinion. It's a world issue of how you look at somebody and how you value people. And we need advocation. We need to be out there advocating for ourselves, demonstrating, and making persistent, consistent demand that, and bringing it to their attention that this is not a livable or acceptable offering by a society that can give more. And most societies can give more collectively. We really can. There's enough to go around, but that's not how it's being allocated. And our values worldwide as a human race, frankly, stink for the most part. Sorry to say that. But we still are very immature as a species, if you ask me, when we don't value people that are disabled or who have develop an illness or have a difference in some means to their physical basic capacity or ability. We automatically think very arrogantly and place them over here as not being desirable. And therefore, we aren't funded well. We are not looked after well. And you could say, well, it's not my job to look after. Yes, it is. It's all of our job to make sure that society is functioning in a healthy way. Sorry, it is your and our responsibility. And it's our responsibility to tell you, and it's your responsibility to listen, and it's our responsibility to work together. And what I see is that it's going to take, of course, time and consistent, persistent efforts to change this. And we have to, if we want to see a change in compensation and stipend for a livable means that people who are disabled, become disabled, elderly, can live on. And there can be better means of ways to ensure that people don't exploit the system without making it unduly ridiculous for those of us that are actually disabled and truly in need of this assistance to have a livable means, to be able to have medication and the equipment we need. And we don't have to go on the cheap and make things garbage, because again, that's just a devalue of that part of society. Would you throw Stephen Hawking in the trash just because no? How valuable was he? And every disabled person is not Stephen Hawking, of course, but every disabled person has a right to exist and be cared for by the society that they are a part of. And we have the capacity to do that as a society. It's just not being utilized, and therein is the crime. We're smart enough, we're just greedy. And we've allowed these people to run the show. So it's going to take making noise, being emotionally honest about what we need, rather than just putting up and shutting up and dying. We have to become more visible. And it's become so much work that on top of not being well, many disabled advocates do end up actually dying in trying to make a change, because it's so demanding mentally and physically of somebody that's already elderly and dealing with health complications. Therefore, we need allies, and we need people that also don't have a family member to be our allies or are disabled themselves, to help, to be involved, to care. And right now, asking society to care is very difficult, but it is precisely what we need to be doing. And a lot. We have to change the world. It's already a set pattern, but it's one that is in need of changing. And we are at the change of an era. I can't stress that enough. And it doesn't mean just magically all these corrupt people disappear, but it means we have to roll up our sleeves and do the dirty work of changing things and of holding people accountable to create the change needed. And disability and the value of the disabled, as well as other minorities, is right in there, right up there with what needs to happen. Because people for too long, Five of Rings, Five of Pentacles, have been left out of the inclusion. It is a very still exclusive and very immature as a species, just way of valuing and valuing the wrong things and the wrong people to the exclusion of those that have a tremendous amount to offer us, and that if we only valued them. There needs to be clarity about this. We need to look it unflinchingly in the eye at how we don't value and give the disabled and the elderly and the least. We don't need to be given anything more than we need, but our basic needs are not even being met, and they can be met. It's just our society doesn't value us and would be much, in many respects, comfortable if we would just die, go away. We don't have to deal with that there anymore. We feel guilty for being sick in this society. We feel we can't spend 2 seconds with our own mind, with lockdown. We have to have this instant gratification as a society, basically, by and large. Now, that's not everyone, but too many whine and complain who don't really have as much as what some have to deal with in life consistently, and who are always disregarded, who are not considered even part of the general populace when public buildings are made and they're supposed to be accessible, and you're still having to park around the block, use the back entrance, go through the kitchen to get out, or the toilets are the size of a closet and nobody can go in there. Come on. There's not a good excuse anymore for why we can't make public bathrooms, keep them clean, and keep enough of them to the public so that people can go out in public. Once again, especially once COVID is lightened up and we are able to do more of that, right now we are experiencing that, where people now know what it feels like to be more of a disabled person. You're getting a taste of it. You're out in public, but there's not a toilet that you can use. So what you gonna do? You have to get creative, don't you? That's just one example. So this is such a good question, but I'm telling you it will change, but it will come about as a result of a great deal of hard work by the disabled and disabled allies, and that we all have to be making a noise about it because we will all benefit by it. That's what people need to understand. When you assist certain members of society that are not being given basic care that they could be given, that would help everyone, not just them, is that it doesn't just help them. We help ourselves. We help everyone. We help ourselves included when we help others in our society. We benefit as a society. But we have to become more vocal, more visible, and demanding. We have to make them see us and let them see us and not look away when they see us. This is not expecting change overnight. We certainly haven't. We've been dealing with issues of bigotry and lack of consideration and devalue of minorities to the point that as a society, we are sick. We're actually sick because we don't value the minorities in society. And yeah, you can say, I'm tired of, I'm tired of the people that have problems with minorities. So if you're going to go on about that, just know that this channel is not for you. And we'll be needing to show how people have for so long struggled, dealt with anxiety, and have more mental health problems, more issues, and are more of need more because society doesn't give enough to sustain the well-being and keep that well-being. That well-being deteriorates because it's never being met in a basic way. Now, I know that not everyone is the same with a disability, but we can, as a society, still have a great deal of flexibility in being able to assist and have flexible means in which we can assist the disabled and the elderly in our community to make things accessible, to keep them not having to make a choice between medication and having a roof or food over their head, and food in their stomach, and medication and medical care that they need, the tools and equipment that they may need if they have a physical disability of some sort, so on and so forth. Come on. It's just we haven't valued it. We have time and time again just wanted to pretend that you don't see us, we don't exist. We need to make that change, and we have. This shows that we already have what we need to meet that need. We just need to finagle it. And the answer is yes, it will come about, my friend, but it's going to take us all making a concerted, combined effort where we value the members of society that are disabled, that are elderly, and we don't just think of them as a drain. When it is ourselves or a member of our own family, then we see the value more clearly, or someone we become close to that changes our mind. When we start to value the least in society, truly then we will value ourselves as a society. And that's just not extra air today to make people feel better. I'm actually feeling this question, and it's given me life. And as a disabled person who's spent 90 days in a nursing home, I have a lot that I have yet to say about that and this issue. But this is a start. So it's coming, but it doesn't come overnight. And it is something that we will go into, certainly, that we can start even with this crap administration that does not give a damn, and maybe especially because it doesn't give a damn about any of the minorities besides white Anglo-Saxon Protestants who are straight and in the 1%. And the minute, though, that 1%, you fall from it, they don't give a shit about you. So y'all better be thinking about that, who are in that 1%. Regardless, things need to shift, and we will see this world being pushed to shift. We will have things like COVID. We will have more things like that to get us to shift and mature and to be the society that we can be, to move us in that direction, to what we are more fully capable of. Right now, it's pretty sad, pretty pathetic. And people have suffered a very long time. And yes, it's time for it to be over. It's time. It's time for that to be over. Hit it like a goddamn piñata. Break that open and say it's over with. And that's what we have to do. We have to go out there and demonstrate Black Lives Matter and disabled lives and all, and it's okay that we say and bring attention to all of these minorities and say we can do better and we have to do better and demand it. And if we can all get on board with the way we've come together, and I know it's not all of us, but we're seeing more people let's not kid ourselves. We're seeing more people getting on board with it. More of us are getting damn tired of it. And so we need to do the same thing for the disabled and other minorities. We will improve for everyone. That change will not just come at your cost, but it will benefit you and members of your family. And if not this generation, another generation, or for people that you care about. And if you don't care about that, then you're a garbage human being. And I don't care. I will say that. So I do see it changing. But it's going to take concerted effort of the Knight of Rings or Pentacles of Earth and the Nine of Swords. We've had already a great deal of unnecessary suffering. People that are suffering that don't need to suffer. If society would just get their shit together and come together and value the disabled and the elderly, to make changes, to make it a livable stipend and a flexible stipend as we are able for the various disabilities and needs of society. When we don't value money over the well-being of our environment and the life in our environment, including our own. And it will come. It is coming, and it is part of the change that we are meant to go into. There's your reading.